Okay, this is a test. I'm just trying some things out, but let's see if this works. Okay, I'm gonna see if this is gonna work. And I wanna go over a comment that I received from a viewer the other day. And this may not work because of the wind and stuff, but we'll check it out. Basically, the person says, I admit on the November 6th will be a full year from that when the ex dumped me and completely walked out of my life. And I would check on her here and there throughout this year, looking so pathetic and desperate. Okay, I just want to stop right there, because you're not pathetic and desperate for doing that. Whenever you have a narcissist basically walk out on you, they walk out without giving you any answers. One minute everything seems fine, the next minute everything is completely messed up, and you're sitting there trying to figure out what the hell just happened. So it's really common that you do actually end up looking at what's going on or checking to see their profile. Most of the time you're looking for some type of answer or some type of indication that maybe you meant something to them. So very common to do that. So don't beat yourself up if you're actually in that mode. You want to get through it, you don't want to keep doing it. I'll throw that out there, but don't beat yourself up on it. So I was just so addicted to checking on her. It's like she became my whole world. When we dated, everything was about her, and I just jumped through so many hoops trying to please her. And that's typically what happens in these narcissistic relationships, is you end up taking a second fiddle, so to speak, to the relationship, and they become basically everything that you're focused on. Your wants and needs are erased. You're only focused on them, and again, that's very typical. Also, that's a warning sign. So if you're dealing with this type of situation and you're seeing that type of stuff, realize that if it's not balanced, it's not a good relationship. So, but when it came to me, she hardly went out of her way for me. And if she gave me anything, she made a slight jab at me to give me a backhanded compliment of things that I liked. Now, see, that's really normal too, right? It's like there's these subtle put downs that occur quite often. And the deal with that is, and it's done in a way to where if you said something about it, you'd be like, oh, you're being too sensitive. Why, that's not what I meant. Why do you have to take everything the wrong way? That type of thing. Again, it's part of the conditioning, right? They suck you in, they make you the center, or they make them the center of the world, and you basically are second fiddle, and then they start making you feel bad for everything. Let's switch locations and I'll continue this in a minute. Okay, hopefully this might be a little bit better. But let's see. But anyways, in late August, I basically broke down and asked her why she did change so drastically at the beginning, and she just wrote it off and said what happens is what happened. In other words, no answers, no closure, leaving you that open-ended thing. Again, that's a very common tactic that they will do to keep you wondering, right? God forbid they give you an answer. God forbid they give you any closure. The result or the goal at this phase is to keep things as complicated as possible, keep you as confused as possible, so that you can't move on. So then it goes on to say, and then I was just curiously asked if she was dating these days, and she stopped texting me, but then a week later she made it public on Facebook that she's been in a relationship with this new guy. Who kind of looks a little bit like me, just as big as me, but she told me my weight and height was an issue. So again, it's like they pick on some. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, right? Because if they pick someone the same and they've been picking on you, then it's going to be one of those things where you're still sitting there going, wait a minute, what? It's still screwing with your head. Actually, to be perfectly honest, no matter what happens, it's going to screw with your head. But here's the thing, remember, a person like this constantly wants conflict, is constantly going to try to make things as complicated and difficult and nasty as possible, And picking somebody who has the same complaints that they can sit around and start to devalue them with actually makes sense. Okay, so then she made it public and posted a subliminal post saying to never check up on a toxic ex, and that that he's a narcissist, and twisting the story to be a victim. And she posted a picture of herself with her boyfriend with her arm wrapped around his neck, saying her happy place is wherever he is. Okay, so again, remember, they live in illusion. Nothing's real. It's all fake. So it's only natural that a narcissistic, toxic person would do that, because they're trying to demonstrate to the world that you are the bad person. This is the new person that they've immediately found, right? And they're focusing all their attention on this new target. It's very common. Most of the time, if you think back about whenever you first started, a lot of times they did the same thing with you. Sometimes that's not true. Sometimes they kept you secret. But I think reading on more with this was more of a, you know, this person that's writing this was in the midst of being, you know, in with their family and stuff like that. Because I have to admit, I never cried so hard seeing that, because it's like she became the person I met in the honeymoon again, but just for him. Okay, again, he's saying exactly what I just said. This is all the same pattern. This is all the same illusion that's happened before. It's happened, you know, it's happened before, it'll happen again, and it's happening right now. So you have to, when you're struggling with that, keep that in mind, that it's all just a replication of the same illusion that you were already dealing with before. Okay, so the next part of this is, but I officially stopped texting and blocked her and her new boyfriend on Facebook, and it's been nearly 2 months now. That's exactly what you need to do. You want to sever ties and stop working on, or stop being caught in a position to where you're looking at everything that they're doing. No contact is really complicated, because you have to do this part too, right? You cannot contact a person, but if you're still looking at everything, it'll rip your heart out. And bottom line, that's really what happens on this, is whenever you are constantly looking, it's just like every time you do it, it feels like your heart's being ripped out of your chest again. That's why you're trying to purge yourself, or that's why you go through the no contact stuff, to try to get it to the point to where they're not affecting you anymore, and they're not affecting your emotions. Now, it still takes time to heal from that, but that's really the key. Good move on that. That was a really critical thing that you needed to do. Okay, so the next part about this is, it says, I sometimes wonder if she really loves him and treats him so much better than me. I know I tried hard to make her happy. I've never raised my voice with her. I've bent over backwards and gave her many wants and needs to accommodate her in my life, but I always felt like a replaceable prop when dating her. Okay, so here's the other thing is that whenever we bend over backwards for somebody a lot, I mean, you would think that it would actually be a positive, right? That a person would be so appreciative of it, would look at it and be like, oh my God, that's so great. I found someone who treats me like a king, or treats me like a queen. And why in the world would they ever get bored? Well, the problem is whenever the relationship gets like that, and they feel, a lot of times when people feel like somebody is not really up, you know, or not up to the challenge. I'm trying to think of the right word for it, but it sabotages the relationship. Here's the deal, to be perfectly honest, I think that's part of what happened in my thing, is like, just like this person, I was bending over backwards trying to make everything good over 2 decades. Now granted, I had my own issues. I was a youngster at some point, not that I cheated, but I was a dumbass a few times, just by being, you know, ignorant and stuff like that, saying some things I probably shouldn't have said, things like that. But so I'm saying I wasn't, you know, perfect, but as it progressed on and I wasn't really strong, and I think it undermined my relationship and undermined the I don't know, value that was perceived by the ex. So he finishes up by saying, I just wonder if I'm missing out and her new boyfriend, our new guy, is getting everything I ever dreamed of having with her. No, he's okay, he's in the honeymoon phase just like you were in, but the person is being set up is going to go through the same damn thing. You got to keep in mind, you got to remember that it's all illusion with narcissistic, toxic people. And here's the other thing. Let's say hypothetically in this situation that his ex is not a narcissist. Okay, you know, unlikely because of everything that this person's been through and how they're feeling about it. But bottom line is, if you're in a relationship that you feel like a replaceable prop, that's not a good relationship. The problem is a narcissistic, toxic person sucks you in, makes you feel like at the beginning like you're the center of their world, and then when they get bored with it, bored with you, because it's not genuine, it's just it's like a conquest, they move on to something else. It is common. It happens over and over again. I get this comment or this type of message a lot. The reality is, it's just, you got to keep it in the context of what's really going on. And the thing I just want to add on this is what this person is talking about. You know, like, oh my God, the ex is the person I always wanted them to be with someone else, or they're finally doing the things that I wanted them to do, or whatever. Guys, you got to just keep it in context of what you're dealing with, who you're dealing with, and what it really all means. Bottom line, that relationship was a toxic nightmare for us, for you and me, okay? If you even just, like I just said a minute ago, if you pull it back and you really look at it to where you're not even talking about it in the context of a narcissist, a true, you know, disordered person, if you just don't click with somebody and it doesn't match, if you are not feeling respected, if you are not feeling valued in the relationship, if it is not mutual, if you feel like you're giving and the other person is always taking, it's not a healthy relationship. And that right there is key. If it's not a reciprocal thing, it's not good. And it's tough because in a normal relationship, what I consider a normal relationship, you have decent communication, and if you finally think, if things break down, you'll have that conversation to where you'll say, hey, it's not working out. You know what, things haven't, you know, they're not the way they used to be. Bottom line is, you'd be able to talk and you'd be able to get some closure. A narcissistic personality type will never give you closure because it's about them, it's not about you. And they like to just kind of like, you know, twist the little screws into you to make you feel really like garbage. Make you always second guess what happened, why it happened, what your role in it, what really happened, all those kind of things. It's normal. That's what they do. It's not a pleasant experience, but that is what happens in these situations. That's why, one of the reasons why it's so damn difficult to let go, because there isn't a clean break. As I get blown away here, it's not one of those things to where you're able to have that, to where you're not able to get that closure. We have to generate it ourselves. I know it's really hard. I look at this comment, I think back as I'm trying to not blow away about how I felt. I felt the same way. I felt all the same things, and it's really tough. It is really, really tough. So on this, before I get blown completely away because it's super windy, which means this video might even be completely useless unless my little windsock thing or my dead cat on my microphone is working superbly, I'm going to shut down. If this was good, if you like the way I did this, leave it a comment down below. Leave a comment in the comment section down below, if I can say that correctly. And if you can relate to this, I'd like to hear your thoughts about that in the comment section as well. And on that, I will talk to you in the next video. Take care. Bye. All right, so the last part of this is I'm going to try to get the hell out of here before I get blown away. This was like not one of my better ideas. Well, I don't know. We'll have to see if it was a good idea or not. So why couldn't it have been nice? Now I'm going to go try to barbecue in this. I'm not going to be able to do that. It's freaking the wind to blow the flame out. All right, take care. Bye.